So the names you are seeing on the screen are the names of over 200 immigration law practitioners and immigration law firms that have raised serious concerns about this whole UK transitioning to eVisas by the end of 31st December 2024. They have raised serious concerns. These people are not happy with the way things are going, and they believe that if care is not taken, this could be dangerous. Like there's pending doom with regards to this whole eVisa blah blah blah. So the Immigration Law Practitioners Association, and together with over 200 other immigration lawyers and immigration firms, they have come out to raise serious concerns, right? And then they have written an open letter, and that's what you can see scrolling on your screen right now, this open letter to the UK Visas and Immigration to tell them that they have these serious concerns. They raised about 5 serious concerns and about this whole e-visa thing that is coming soon, and then they also gave some recommendations to the UK Visas and Immigration, and that is what I'll be talking about in today's video. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Stop that. Hi guys, my name is Anel Griselda. I'm a nurse in the UK, but originally from Ghana. On this channel, I talk about nursing, I talk about migration, I talk about opportunities for people to relocate abroad and life in the UK as an immigrant in general. So if these are topics that interest you, please consider subscribing. No, I am not an immigration advisor. No. Do not let this replace any immigration advice or whatever. This is just news in the public, and I decided to share. So the first video I did about e-visas, I stated that the UK is going digital. Now they are scraping out all physical documents that you use to prove your immigration status. They are scraping out BRPs, biometric residence permits. They are scraping out biometric residence cards. They are scraping out vignette stamps in passports. They are scraping out everything physical. Everything is going digital. And I've also done videos showing you how to go step by step and get your e-visa, because by 1st of January 2025, if you get to the border, you're not going to open any passport to show that you have a visa. They will check you an online or digital system, right? And in that video, in that first video that I did, several people raised concerns in the comments. Some of the concerns I had not even thought about it. Somebody was like, what if hackers hack the system? And then another person was like, what if this thing fails? You know, technology, there can be issues with technology. What if network issues? And then I was like, these are valid concerns, you know. Apparently, you are not alone. These big people in the immigration sector in the UK, they also have valid concerns, the same as what you were thinking as well. So the Immigration Law Practitioners Association of the UK, ILPA, and over 200 other valid people that are interested in the immigration sector have raised these concerns and have written this letter. Obviously, if I say that I am reading this letter, the entire letter, we might not finish this video, or the video is going to be very long. So what I'll do is that I'm going to leave a link to the letter in the description of this video so you can read the letter for yourself. However, I will briefly mention what their concerns are and then what their recommendations are. And one of their first concern in the letter, they stated that they think that there is no harmonization. So they said lack of harmonization in the wider strategy for digitalization of the immigration system. So according to this particular concern, they are saying that the UKVI said they are introducing the ETA system around the same time that they are introducing the e-visa system, and they are saying that it's like people are introducing so many things and so many complex things all together around the same time. There's no harmony. People are treating each situation in isolation, but the UKVI should consider that bringing all these things on board around the same time could be quite chaotic, you understand? And the word they used was, they said, it appears as if each policy is being considered in isolation without consideration of the full implications of other changes in the policy which share the same timeline. For example, stakeholders are told in meetings about the ETAs that discussions of digitalization are irrelevant. This exemplifies not only the lack of coordinated approach, but also ignorance of stakeholder expertise with regard to the impact that these sweeping simultaneous changes will have. So they believe that it's going to just be overwhelming. You know, you're introducing two major things around the same time and they're all complex and there's no harmony. You understand? It's like there's no coordinated approach. So that is one of their concerns. The second thing that they raised is that there's absence of a transitional phase after 31st December 2024. So as of now, the UKVI, or the Home Office, they've not really made us know what exactly happens if by 31st December 2024 you've not been able to get your e-visa. Does that mean you are stuck? They've not made us us know. And this letter from the ILPA, that's the Immigration Law Practitioners Association, they are saying that at least there should be a transitional phase after that. What happens if some people have still not been able to get their eVisa? What's going to happen? And one point that they raised with regards to this was the Windrush scandal. So let me read what their concerns are. This particular one, let me read the entire thing. So they are saying that we remain highly concerned that the Home Office self-imposed deadline 31st December 2024 for the majority of immigration digitalization policies will be a disastrous cliff edge for many of the millions of migrants in the UK subject to this change. And when they say disastrous cliff edge, they mean that it's a disastrous jump, sudden massive change, right? And they are saying that not only will migrants be affected, so too will British employers, British landlords, British families, and vulnerable persons. It said there is, for example, no planned transitional phase to enable individuals to show their expired BRPs to carriers, to enable individuals overseas to safely travel back to the UK. There is no backup plan to enable individuals to have an offline proof of their immigration status. If a physical immigration document is still needed for a specific unforeseen purpose, such as if view and proof fails to show the individual's correct personal or immigration status information, the catastrophic effect of that cliff edge will be increased. We harbor no doubt that this will result in a second scandal akin to Windrush, insofar as people will be unable to prove and enforce their ability to enter the UK as well as live, work, and rent. Their ability to prove their status may result in them losing a home that they wish to rent, being passed over for a role, and their inability to travel, including to be with family or to return to their home, school, or job in the UK. So this one really touched my heart. For all the points that they raised, this was the one that really touched my heart, honestly. And let me explain why. So they are saying that people are saying that you are scraping off all forms of physical documents from 1st January 2025, right? So you no longer look at physical BRPs again. What if I travel to, let's say, Ghana, and I'm coming back? Let's say the immigration officer is looking at the eVisa and my details don't tally. So because of that, they'll say that they will not allow me to enter the UK. Meanwhile, I'm a genuine person. Like, I really have the permission to stay, but because of this glitch, what if that happens? So does that mean that you're not going to let me enter the UK to join my family or go back to my work or what? And they are saying that at least there should be a transitional phase where people will still be allowed to prove their immigration status with their BRP cards, even if their BRP cards are expired. You know, at least there should be a transitional phase of maybe like 1 year or 2 years where at least, although we've switched to eVisas, at least for the time being, people will still be allowed to use the BRP cards. For instance, if there's technical error with the eVisa system or something. And they are saying that if there should be another way that people can prove their immigration status offline, like what if there's no internet, right? There should be a backup plan where people can still be able to prove their immigration status without using the internet. Like, let's say a physical something just in case. And I agree with that. You know, you cannot just be absolute like that from day one. This will be catastrophic. And I think I honestly agree with them. I agree with them on that. And then they are saying that this could mean that some people who travel outside the country may not be able to come back or return, because if this happens at the border, for instance, like I said, my friend who has permanent residency applied for the eVisa, and when the eVisa came, it was like he was still under a visa. The eVisa said he did not have access to public funds, when she now has access to public funds, and it happened to several people. So they had to call Home Office for that correction to be done. So imagine later on this issue develops, and let's say they say the person's visa is expired. Meanwhile, the person's visa has not expired, and so the person is not allowed to come inside the UK. Meanwhile, the person has to resume work, or let's say the person has left the children in the UK and went back for a funeral and is coming back. Like all of these things. And these Immigration Law Practitioners Association and these lawyers and all of that, they know what they are talking about. They compared this situation to the Windrush, and I'll come to the Windrush very soon, the Windrush scandal. And they are saying that this thing that is happening could be a second scandal, just like the Windrush scandal. And for those who don't know the Windrush scandal, hold on, I'll explain. They are saying that because of this view and proof thing online, blah blah blah, if there are issues, somebody who needs a house to rent badly for maybe them and their families with their children involved and everything, they will not be given a place to rent, because let's say the landlord will not be able to prove, let's say there's a glitch, and then they will not be given the house. Let's say there's a job that they have to get so badly, and then because they were not able to prove it using this eVisa thing, the job will pass them by. So they are saying that there should be like a transition phase where people will still be allowed to use the physical document, let's say a passport or a visa or the expired BRP cards. People should still be able to use it for a while until we then go completely to e-visa instead of just giving a strict deadline, 31st December 2024. And I think I agree with them on this particular point. So for those who don't know what a Windrush is, right? So many years ago, I think after Second World War, the UK became massively short of a lot of skills or a lot of labor. So they needed people to come to the UK to work. They needed energetic young people to build the economy and all of that. So they started campaigning in mostly the Caribbean countries that people should come over and work in the UK. They went to campaign, right? So they went to campaign over there to encourage people to come. And at the time, this was before 1974 or 1973. And at the time, if you were from a British colony at the time, you had a legal right to come and stay in the UK without a visa, without any paperwork, without any proper documentation. So lots of people came. Those people that came, they are called the Windrush generation. They came after Second World War, the 1970s, right? They came between 1948 and then 1960 thereabouts, right? So lots of people came. They came to work as bus drivers. They came to work as train drivers, as cleaners, so many jobs. They came to help build the UK economy. And the reason why they called those people that came the Windrush generation is because one of the first ships that moved the first batch of people from the Caribbean countries to the UK, the ship was called HMT Empire Windrush. That was one of the ships that brought the first batch of people from the Caribbean to the UK around that time. That's why they call them the Windrush generation. So these people came to work so hard, their families joined them, and like I said at the time, if you were from a Commonwealth country, you did not need permission to stay in the UK. So they came, and around that time their countries gained independence, so they became independent countries, and then they were now ruling themselves, right? So they were no longer under the UK government or whatever. So now it's like they also did not get any valid documentation when they came. Their kids were going to school, accessing the UK National Health Service, and they were living life normal without any issues. However, along the line, as time goes on, UK started making much stricter rules. And then now these people, some of them were faced with deportation, some of them were actually deported, and then with some people too, they traveled outside the country and they were not allowed to come in. And this is through no fault of theirs. You people came to campaign for them to come because people were desperate for young people to come and work and build the economy. Yet after that, some of them were deported, some of them they traveled and they were not allowed to come back, some of them faced so many issues. Meanwhile, some of them had come to live here for so many decades and they had lived here and had created families here. The only country their children know is UK, and now you're asking them to leave through no fault of theirs. And the number of people that came through the Windrush era were like over 500,000. And remember that 500,000 2 decades later will not be 500,000, right? They are going to get married, they are going to give birth, their children are going to give birth. One person can give birth to 5 people. So obviously there were a lot of people that were affected by this whole Windrush scandal. And this Immigration Law Practice Association are saying that the same thing could happen now with the sudden jump to e-visas if there's no transitional phase. And that is really critical that I think the UK visas immigration should look at, right? So the third point that they raised is that there could be technical errors. So with the technical errors as well, they have seen that obviously with something that is going completely digital, there can definitely be technical errors. And a small technical error can affect millions of people. And the same thing applies like what happened to the Windrush people. Somebody will not be allowed to enter the UK because of a simple technical error, or somebody will face deportation because of a single technical error. So they are saying that all these issues are serious concerns to the e-visas, right? And then the fourth thing that they said was vulnerable migrants. So they're also saying that there are some migrants who have, let's say, learning disabilities, who are very old, they don't even know what is going on. They've not even heard about any e-visas. There are some children who are currently with social services or they are in care, and so many things. Some people don't even have smartphones, they don't have access to all of these things. And all these people, they might not be able to meet the deadline. Some of them have not even heard about e-visas, right? They might not even be able to do it before the time. So for those people, what happens to them? You understand? So they are vulnerable migrants who also should be looked at. They said those who are likely to be worst affected and most vulnerable when the cliff edge comes on 1st January 2025 include migrants with disabilities, learning difficulties, language barriers, age barriers, those who have lack of access to technology, children and young people in care who have been victims of abuse or other crimes. All of this, how are they going to get internet and a good phone to do all these face recognition, scan passports and all? How? So it's not feasible. They should be realistic, and I think I agree. And then the last point they raised was public awareness. They're also saying that many of us have been consulted on the Home Office planned communications around e-visas through the Future Borders and Immigration System advisory groups. We are are concerned about the Home Office failure to raise sufficient public awareness in two respects. When I read some of the comments under my eVisa videos, I agree with this as well, because lots of people are saying that they could not find extensive information about this if not for my channel. And if people are saying that it's my channel that is giving them the correct information for them to do this, then that means that there's not enough awareness in public or by the Home Office. Like, they've not made so much noise about it as much. So these are the concerns that the ILPA raised together with over 230 other organizations or people. So I'll leave a link to the open letter here so that you can read exactly what the details are. So these are their recommendations. They gave about 4 main recommendations. So the first one is that they are saying that in the immediate term, instead of leaving individuals in precarious situations and unable to prove their rights when technology fails or when technology is inaccessible, until it is certain that every person can prove their access or can prove their status without any technology error, the Home Office should accept expired BRPs, or they should still issue BRPs to people until everybody's own is on the system. And I think that's a good point. They're also saying that engagement must be meaningful. They recommend informative, personalized, and tailored, as well as mass forms of communication across a wide range of media, including advertisements, wider email campaigns. Like, there should be enough publicity about this. And then they're also saying that there must be a helpline specifically for eVisas that can be contacted in the UK and abroad for free 24/7, so that if you're having any issues, you can easily call and then it will be rectified, instead of people calling the normal UK visa home number and they'll say that if you're an employer, press 1, if you're a landlord, press 2, if you're a press 3. Instead of that, there should be like a separate line widely publicized only for e-visa concerns, so that if I'm at the border and I know that I have permanent residency, yes, the immigration advisor is not seeing my face on the system, I can easily call and maybe something can be done about it, or something, I don't know, something can be done about it, right? Or let's say suddenly I go there and they say I am a female but instead of male and I'm not able to prove it, or let's say something, any issue at all that I can reach out 24/7 and that will be sorted, you understand? And then they said in the medium term as well, they recommend that the Home Office should introduce digital tokens akin to the QR codes that were used for COVID status certification, which could be accessed either without internet connection and or be printed out. The use of a secure QR-based alternative is in line with the recommendations of the International Civil Aviation Association. And then all of these people signed. So they are saying that in the medium term, they can also introduce something like a QR code, something where you can print out, right, like how you were using to prove that you don't have COVID, like you go and do the COVID test and then there's a way that you can prove, like there should be something like that where we can print it out, so that even if there are issues at the border, at least I still have something physical. Like if the technology at the border is delaying or there's a technical hit and then the network goes down. I mean, recently, about 5 months ago, in a lot of countries in Africa, the internet went down for days because they said a cable under in whatever sea or ocean got torn or whatever, and the internet in those countries for days were off. Ghana was included. I think even Nigeria was part. There was no internet in these countries. Imagine something like that can happen in the future. The UK is not above that. Something like that can happen in the UK. If it happens in the UK and I'm at the airport, I have to come back to work urgently or I have a surgery the next day, how can I prove this? And then in the Windrush scandal, lots of people, there was a man who even died because he could not prove. They said something. I remember the story very well, and this is all part of the Windrush scandal. He had a surgery in the UK. They did not allow him to enter because blah blah blah, and then he went back and he died, I think, a few days later, when he was a genuine resident of the UK and he had a surgery pending. So like there can be a lot of issues regarding this, and I think I agree with the ILPA, and God bless them for writing this. And if you look at the letter has so many signatories. Let me read a couple of them to you. I can see Roma Support Group, I can see Anika Joyce, Simon Community Scotland, I can see Sabine Zanka Citizens Advice Bureau, I can see Hannah Cooper Citizens Advice Newcastle, I can see Sam Ingham, Laura Divine Immigration. I can see so many names, and they are all signatories to this open letter, and there's a powerful one. And this letter was addressed to E.D. Mackey, Deputy Director, UK Visas and Immigration, Home Office. Wow. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Do you have other concerns aside these ones? Or do you have other recommendations aside these ones? What do you think? Comment below. Thank you for watching. Bye.